This story, The Old Man and Three Advice. One day, a poor man who was looking for work came to a large farm. The owner of the farm, who was a rich and kind man, gave him work. The poor man worked hard for him for years, worked honestly and never betrayed him. After 20 years, he went to the owner of the farm and said, "Master, I am now old and I want to return to my home. Please give me the wages of these years." The rich man smiled and said, "I have 3 offers for you. You can take them or receive the money for these 20 years in return." The poor man thought for a while and said, "I choose the advice." The rich man gave him 3 pieces of advice. 1. Never take shortcuts and unknown paths, even if they seem shorter. 2. Never be too curious and do not pry into other people's work. 3. When you are angry, do not make any decisions. Then he gave him some bread and said, "Eat this on the way, but do not open it before you reach your home." The poor man set off in surprise. The first experiment. After walking for a few days, he came to a crossroads. One of the paths was shorter and unknown, and the other was longer but safe. He remembered his master's advice and chose the longer path. When night fell, he realized that the shorter path was full of thieves, and if he chose it, he would lose all his possessions. The second experiment. A few nights later, he came to a house from which strange sounds were coming. He was curious to see what was going on, but he remembered the second piece of advice and continued on his way. The next day he learned that the house belonged to a murderer who killed the curious. The third experiment. When he finally reached his home, it was night. He saw his wife sitting and talking to a strange man through the window. He became angry, pulled out his dagger and prepared to enter the house. But suddenly he remembered the third piece of advice: do not make decisions when you are angry. So he waited until morning. When he entered the house, he was surprised to find that the man was his son, who had abandoned him as a child. The real reward. He happily sat down with his family and remembered the bread that the farmer had given him. When he opened it, he found a bag full of gold coins inside. His master had hidden the reward of his years of hard work in that bread. Conclusion. Sometimes valuable advice is more precious than any wealth, and if we listen to it carefully, we will be saved from many problems in life.